And that's our Dialing for Dollars movie for this Friday and for the week. Be sure to join us Monday when GHQ makes its debut on Dialing for Dollars. From all of us here, we wish you a very happy Easter. Newswatch 16 is next.
Good evening, I'm Nolan Johannes.
And I'm Karen Harch. Tonight in the news...
Thousands more people get off the boil water advisory. I'm Mark Davis. I'll have a live report in just a moment.
But to boil or not to boil is a big question for many. I'm Kathi Belich. I'll have more on that story.
Car bumpers that can save you money. I'm Gerry Gartenberg, and I'll have the details for you tonight in my consumer file.
Here come the Easter chicks and ducks, and of course, the Easter bunny. I'm Jacquline Carr, and I'll have that story from Scranton.
Those stories and more, plus the Easter forecast from Paul Heppner.
And Tim Karlson on sports, all next on Newswatch 16.
Meet Ryan's Hope's Jillian Coleridge at WNEP Spring Fair.
In your car, listen to Newswatch 16 on WKRZ AM 1340.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. 30,000 people in our area are getting a lift tonight in more ways than one.
Those people in parts of Lackawanna and Luzerne counties have been lifted from the Giardias-caused boil water advisory. Newswatch 16's Mark Davis is live now in our Wilkes-Barre newsroom to tell us about all this good news. Mark?
Nolan, for some people put on the advisory just before Christmas, tonight's good news came just in time for Easter. The Department of Environmental Resources and Pennsylvania Gas and Water made the joint announcement first thing this morning at a news conference. But because of the complexity of where the boil has been lifted, only general areas were mentioned.
The hydraulic separations that were determined ended up being a very involved, winding, serpentine kind of line, passing between houses and across streets and that kind of thing. And there just isn't any way to clearly define this in a verbal fashion. The only way to do it is with a map. The maps are being delivered or may have already been delivered into some municipal location in each of these boroughs.
Here's a list of the areas off the boil as of tonight. All of Jenkins Township, a very small section of Pittston City, sections of Pittston Township, the East Mountain section of Scranton served by the Williams Bridge Reservoir, sections of Dunmore served by Williams Bridge and by the Dunmore No. 1 Reservoir, all of Troop, the remainder of Jessup, sections of Blakely, and sections of Oliphant. Now, PG&W supposedly has made maps showing exactly where the boil's been lifted available at 8 locations in the various areas. But a Newswatch 16 check shows only 2 places with the maps. They will be open tonight through the weekend. Those locations are the Dunmore Borough Building and the East Mountain Fire Station in Scranton. Now, the other way you can find out if you're off the boil is to call PG&W's Customer Information Service. In Scranton, call 961-8771, or in Wilkes-Barre, call 829-3461. Now, with this latest announcement, still about 170,000 people remain on the boil advisory. But DER tells me tonight most of those people will get their relief sometime in May, probably around the 9th of May, with the remaining 25,000 to 30,000 people not getting relief until much later during the year. I'm Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 with a live report from the Wilkes-Barre newsroom. Karen?
Thank you, Mark. Well, following this morning's announcement about the boil water advisory, many people trying to find out if they're among those who don't have to boil any longer. But there was a lot of confusion about where to get that information. Newswatch 16's Kathi Belich is live in our Scranton newsroom. Kathi, why all the confusion?
Karen, it's really hard to say. There just seems to be a communication breakdown that caused all that. And for that reason, many people who don't have to deal with the inconvenience of boiling their water or using bottled water will still be dealing with it over the weekend. Part of the problem is that DER gave Newswatch 16 and other news media various locations to pass along to PG&W customers where they could find maps or information as to whether they had to continue boiling their water. One of those places was the Lackawanna County Emergency Management Office, which was closed today for Good Friday. For that reason, many people called the County Communications Center, overloading emergency lines and tying up people who are supposed to be taking emergency calls. And yet another problem was that even locations that did get maps from DER were confused because the maps weren't clear. For example, in Dunmore, the cutoff line for boiling is not shown with reference to any particular street. Dunmore's Mayor Joseph Dominic never even got a map. He had to get a street list from DER with block numbers.
We have all the phones going. The chief is here. Lieutenant Conway's on one phone. The chief of cult is on one, and I'm on another one. Plus, they're all going, and it's between. If we get emergency calls, I don't know how we're going to do it.
In Blakely Borough, there was even more confusion because Blakely Borough consists of Blakely and Peckville. DER's reference to Blakely was not specific enough for borough officials to guess which parts of the borough no longer must boil their water.
From what we understand, that the map is very vague to begin with. There are no street listings or anything like that. So we're just advising everyone to keep boiling their water until the confusion is at least cleared up.
DER says there may be a reason for all this confusion.
I think what might have happened was that when the maps were being delivered, there was nobody at the particular borough building, perhaps in Dunmore and Blakely in particular.
Now, we wanted to talk to PG&W officials live tonight to find out more about why there was so much confusion, but no one was available because of the holidays. However, PG&W does say that customers can call at the customer service lines to find out information, and they say those service lines were relatively quiet today. In addition, PG&W admits that there may have been a communication breakdown between PG&W and DER that caused today's confusion. Kathi Belich, Newswatch 16, live from the Scranton newsroom.
Thank you, Kathy. Newswatch 16 continues with Gerry Gartenberg and Action 16.
Tonight, Gerry reaches into his consumer file to tell us about auto bumpers.
Serving all of northeastern and central Pennsylvania, this is WNEP TV.
Our Action 16 reporter Gerry Gartenberg is here now with his consumer file. Tonight, Gerry has some tips about car bumpers that could save us some money, right, Gerry?
That's right. Thanks, Karen. Would it surprise you if I told you that you might save on repair bills later by buying a car with a certain bumper today? It's true. What we're talking about is something called a 5-mile-an-hour bumper. And as the name suggests, it's designed to prevent damage to your car in a 5-mile-an-hour crash. You might remember that a few years ago, the federal government required automakers to provide 5-mile-an-hour bumpers on all cars. In 1982, the standard was relaxed a bit. Now automakers are only required to install bumpers that protect cars in a crash up to 2.5 miles an hour. But some car makers have kept the 5-mile-an-hour bumpers. Others have gone to lightweight bumpers that offer less protection. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety performed front and rear 5-mile-an-hour crash tests in cars with each type. And here's what happened. These cars came away with no damage at all. They have heavy bumpers. These cars have the lighter bumpers. And as you can see, they came away with some pretty stiff repair bills. So why the switch to lighter bumpers 2 years ago? Well, the government said automakers would save money by making lighter bumpers, and they said the savings could mean lower sticker prices on new cars. But car manufacturers we spoke with say sticker prices have not gone down, and insurance companies such as Allstate are charging higher rates for some cars with the 2.5-mile bumper. How can you be sure which kind of bumper you're getting? Well, ask your car dealer or your auto insurance agent. If they can't help you, you can find out by writing to Bumpers at the Center for Auto Safety. They're located at 2000 S Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 2009. And Karen and Nolan, have a happy and safe Easter.
Oh, happy holidays to you, too.
Thank you, Gerry. We hope you won't bump into too many bunnies over the weekend, all right? Thank you, sir.
Earlier this week, we told you that the State Milk Marketing Board lifted the minimum price that milk dealers across the state could charge us for low-fat and skim milk, and that was supposed to bring the prices on those products down. Well, that action has been temporarily turned around. Today, a federal judge ruled that those minimum prices will stay in effect for 10 days, except in Philadelphia and southeastern Pennsylvania. The order was issued so the courts could take a closer look at this controversial issue. Well, the bottom line, prices we pay for low-fat and skim milk will probably stay the same for a while.
All right, and Paul Heppner is in for Tom Clark tonight.
And I hope he has a nice Easter Sunday forecast for us.
I think Tom is going to be looking for Easter eggs somewhere in New York State over the weekend. Okay. And if we don't have a nice weekend, I'll probably be wearing egg on my face. I'll tell you just how nice it's going to be when we come back.
How high will you try? $16,000 can be yours weekdays at 4.
Well, we think it's generally known that we're expecting good weather for Easter weekend. That's what we've been saying so far all this week. Here's a guy that's on the spot. If he changes anything, is he in trouble, Paul?
Boy, you know it too. No, we have been talking about improving weather as the weekend comes along, and that is once again the story again tonight. We do have some clearing skies coming in later tonight, and for tomorrow, more sunshine coming up. In the backyard right now, it is still rather nippy for this time of the year, only 50 degrees. The relative humidity is high with all of those clouds around. The wind is calm. Barometer is rising. The high temperature today, well, it's the current reading, 50 degrees. Not much of a range in temperature, only 45 for a low last night. The normals are 60 and 40. What a heat wave it was back in 1941, and perhaps, yes, some of those Easter lilies will see some sunshine tomorrow as well. Here's how it looks from space this afternoon on the Newswatch 16 color satellite picture. Still that storm system mulling around the Canadian Maritimes, spreading clouds in Pennsylvania as well. Not too bad down over northern Virginia, but there are some showers over the Carolinas. A lot of heavy weather action going on out in the nation's midsection with tornado watches and warnings down in Texas, and also some snow, heavy snow going on out in Colorado. About 2 feet expected out there tonight. Now, if you're traveling this weekend, looks pretty good. Here's how it should look come morning on Easter Sunday. As we call up the computer right now, we expect to see high pressure moving offshore. That means dry weather extending from Boston down through eastern Pennsylvania as well, about 60 degrees for high, but there will be some showers sneaking up from the southwest. I think they will stay confined to Maryland and perhaps the extreme southern tier of Pennsylvania late Sunday, but it looks like cool, seasonally cool, dry weather in here for the weekend. Good travel weather. Here's how the forecast looks for tonight. Again, some clearing late tonight. Temperatures dropping back into the 30s, increment about 39 degrees, residual about 41. If you live back to the west and northwest, you should see temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. Now for tomorrow, we're looking for improving weather, much nicer. Archbald should be about 58 degrees, getting up to about 60 down near Bloomsburg. There will be intervals of clouds and sunshine in here, and out to the west and northwest, you will still see some sunshine, but still a fair amount of clouds helping to keep those temperatures down. On the Health Watch for tomorrow, looks pretty good with all that sunshine beginning to replace the cloudy weather we have. Your reflex is high, your mood high, and your ability to concentrate should be on the average side. Sunset tomorrow morning about 5:14 in the morning, and sunset tomorrow evening well approaching 7 p.m. Tonight in the backyard, cloudy skies early, but clearing. Some partial clearing late tonight, temperatures dropping down to about 40 degrees. Partly cloudy skies coming up for tomorrow, temperatures rising up into the mid-50s. Nice weather on Easter Sunday. Look at that, 60 degrees. Looks pretty good for the Easter Bunny as he makes his rounds, but he doesn't want to make them on Monday because showers, 54 degrees, and those showers could last into Tuesday as well. So, Karen and Nolan, nice for Easter.
Yeah,
looks
that's
good.
Great. Okay, Paul, thank you, sir. Tim Karlson is coming in next for Joe Zone.
Tonight, Tim tells us about the hockey and basketball playoffs. Those stories as Newswatch 16 continues.
WNEP Spring Fair is back, and it's bigger and better than ever. Make plans now to join us April 27th, 28th, and 29th at the 109th Armory in Kingston. You'll get great bargains on cars, pools, lawn care, hair care, jeans, furniture, sportswear, and much, much more. There'll be great entertainment, all kinds of food, plus you can meet your favorite ABC stars. Bring the whole family to WNEP's Spring Fair. Don't miss it.
Guess who's here? Joe's away.
He's not at spring training, though. It's a little late for that now.
It's an early weekend. That's
yeah, he's just taking the weekend off, and why not? We're glad to help him out. You know, it's less than 2 weeks until the May 1st NFL college player draft. Many college football players anxious to know their fate in the pros, if any. We thought we'd show you who's got the #1 pick and so on. Well, that #1 pick goes to New England, not because they had the worst record in football, which they didn't, but the fact that they swung a deal for it. Originally, Cincinnati got the first pick from Tampa Bay in a trade for quarterback Jack Thompson. Then New England got the first pick from Cincinnati in a trade for other draft choices. I hope you followed that. Houston will pick #2, and boy, do they need it. The Giants get the #3 pick. and we certainly hope they'll use it widely for Giants fans and wisely. The Eagles, needing help in many areas, have the number 4 pick, and the Jets go 10th in the draft in the first round. That on May 1st. So that's the way that shapes up. All right. First 12 games this year have gone pretty well for the Cubs. Not really that bad. Going to Wrigley today for the game with the Pirates, the Cubbies just 1 game back of the Mets in the NL East and a 7-5 record to their credit. We take a look at the highlights. 2 out, top of the 4th, 1-1. Pirates, Tony Pena singles and Jason Thompson, and the Bucks lead the Cubs 2-1. We go to the 5th inning now. Watch Gary Matthews. See you later over the Ivy. He parks one over the Ivy, a 3-run shot, and it's 4-2. The Cubs out in front. But in the 6th inning, here come the Bucks back. Jason Thompson goes the other way, and he parks it out there, and with a man on, that makes it 4-4. Now, to the bottom of the 10th, though, and the Cubbies have a chance to win it. Drawn up infield, Mel Hall squeaks one through at shortstop. Kent Tekulve was the guy who threw the pitch. Ryan Sandberg scored, and the Cubs win it 5-4. Now, the scoreboard. NL, Chicago over Pittsburgh, 5-4. The Cubs are just a half game back now. American League, Kansas City over Cleveland, 6-4. Frank White, Hal McRae homers for the Royals. California, Toronto tied 4-4 in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Yanks at the stadium tonight to open a 3-game series with Texas. Ray Fontenot for the Yanks, 0-2. Frank Tanana, 1-1 for the Rangers. New York, 5-6 so far this year. Phils are at the Vet with the Mets tonight. John Denny at 1-1 this year up against Mike Torres. He's 0-1. And how about this? They'll be playing for first place in the NL East. The Mets and the Cubs a half game up on the Phils going in. All right, the NBA playoffs rolling through the first round these days. We got a wrap on last night's stuff. First of all, the Celtics and the Bullets at Boston Garden. Larry Bird down low, and he had 23 on the night. Bob Parrish was held to 11, but he hits on this turnaround baseline. Larry Bird was able to break free several times last night. There's one from the baseline, and here, once again, Larry Bird gets the rebound and puts it up and in. He was awesome. Greg Ballard led the Bullets with 20. He cans one from the top of the key right here. Now, watch this great move from Frank Johnson. Don't you love it off the glass? But the Celtics win it 88-85, up 2-0 in the best of 5. Now, the Knicks and Pistons at the Dome. Bernard King had 46. There he gets 2 on the alley-oop. Watch little Isaiah Thomas open underneath, and he puts it up and in. Kelly Tripucka, watch him drive the lane for the Pistons. And Isaiah Thomas, look at this great piece of dribbling here to recover. Gets the ball down to Bill Lambier. Lambier had 31 last night. The Pistons win it 113-105, even the series at 1 game apiece. Now, as far as tonight goes in the NBA playoffs, the Sixers down to New Jersey 1-0 in the best of 5 first round. They will play at the Spectrum tonight. LA hosts Kansas City. The Lakers lead 1-0, and Phoenix, leading 1-0, plays at Portland tonight. Hockey playoffs, too. Montreal tries to wrap up the conference final tonight against Quebec, while Minnesota goes for the same trick with St. Louis, and it's do or die for Calgary as they meet Edmonton tonight. We'll have scores and more on the update, and maybe even some Phils and Yanks highlights, too, so we'll catch you then.
Okay, looking forward to the Yanks highlights.
All right, thanks a lot,
That was
Tim.
played. And Newswatch 16 continues with caring for Easter pets.
Jacqueline Carr has some tips for keeping those warm, cuddly little pets.
I'm Mike Stevens. Join me on the Pennsylvania Road on Newswatch 16.
Finally tonight, what do bunnies, ducks, and little chicks all have in common during this Easter season? Newswatch 16's Jacqueline Carr says some are in grave danger because they're being placed in the wrong hands.
A child and a special Easter pet. For some people, the giving of ducks, chicks, and bunnies over Easter is a tradition. Brenda Bernstell sells these animals in Scranton. She says not everybody is meant to have one. Bernstell tries to let people know just how much care these little things need. And if someone does buy one and then chooses to get rid of it, Brenda has one thing to say.
Please bring them back. We don't want to put them in a home where the kids are going to hurt them, or they're going to be just dumped out in the road somewhere.
Brenda Bernstell says if you do keep the Easter pet, they all need a lot of special attention and care to stay alive and healthy.
The chicks and ducks have got to be kept warm, about an 80-degree temperature. The chicks have their own food, which is medicated. The ducks don't have medicated feeds, so they've got to be kept separate. The bunnies have got to have their regular bunny food. They can be kept indoors or out. outdoors with a lot of protection.
Bernstein's advice is if you think you want a duckling, a chick, or a bunny, find out about them first and then decide. Brenda Bernstein says as long as you know how to take care of your Easter bunny or chick or duck and you make sure you do it right, you're going to have an Easter pet that should last for a couple of years. Jacqueline Carr, Newswatch 16 in Scranton.
Good advice.
I think I'd prefer the little stuffed kind that you can throw around, you know, and they
I'd rather the chocolate ones that you can eat.
Yeah. That's the truth, friends. We have been finding that out lately about Karen Harch. And that is Newswatch 16 for this Friday.
Be sure to join us tonight on The Update when we'll find out what the big selling items are this Easter season.
World News Tonight is next with the latest on the embassy siege in London. For the entire team, we would like to wish you a very happy Easter weekend.
And enjoy your evening.